Hey, what's going on, everybody? My camera is massively out of focus. So let's try and figure that out. So I'm just getting back from my trip up north. And typically I have this camera set to autofocus. That's a little better. Let's cut over. Hey guys, what's going on? All close and all bright. Jeez. All right, so let's adjust some of this stuff because it's a little much. And I'm gonna lower down the tunes here so that we're not listening to that. I guess I could have done that over here. Let's check out. Oh man, this is rough. When you like disconnect everything so that you can go on a trip, and then the next time you need to do something with it, it needs to all be set up again. So it's a little crooked, eh? Anyway, let's figure that out before we get going. Let me lower this light down because it's apparently a little... Oh, yeah, it's like almost all the way up to max. Get out of here. Do you want to do this update right now while you're live? Oh, okay, this is... Oh, it's on automatic as well with the camera. So that means lowering it down is not going to be any better. Let me listen. Just... Okay, audio's pretty good. Although in the past I've watched the show... Man, has it always been this, like... big? I feel like I'm like all up in the camera right now. Okay, so in the past I've rewatched the show. These glasses, I got to get them replaced. In the past I've rewatched the show and realized that it's super quiet. So is it super quiet for you? Because I'm trying to increase volume, but not obviously overdrive the gain or, get into the clipping area. So we're going to try and do that and make sure that you guys have good sound. Everything's showing up appropriately over on my sound rig, but I can't figure out why this lens is so stinking huge. I could switch to my other one and see what we could do about that. Like, because I have another one so this is a 50 mil prime, but it's a full frame lens. Whereas if I put the other one on, it's here. And this is an 18 to 55. So I could do like the same closeness. I just don't know if I'm going to get the blurred out background. So I could throw that on there and see if that makes any difference. Who knows? All right. You may have noticed the new starting stream video. So I put that together in Canva, I think. And that's pretty awesome. That was pretty actually easy to do. So I like that a lot. Oh, yeah, I'm going to have to do this. Oh, yeah. And then we'll talk about what's going on here this week. Let's just try that other lens. So I'm just going to throw the starting screen up one more time. But I'm going to put over here the comments and make sure that we are seeing those correctly. Hey, I just finished a changeover, so I can actually hang out this morning. What's going on, Angus? Welcome. That's great. Glad to hear you're hanging out with us this morning. Appreciate that. And Sean says, hey, good morning. Sounds fine to me. Excellent. I don't know if there's post-processing or something that happens afterwards, but anyways, you may have noticed, while I switch a lens, you may have noticed that my starting screen now looks like this, which I put together fairly quickly and efficiently inside of Canva. So that was awesome because I kind of want to do like what I did with my stream at Bird Dog, where I had commercials with Bird Dog that I could run prior to the show actually starting. And so to make this a little bit more engaging, I wanted to do something like this where I could have a, whoa, this is wild now. So, but I can manually adjust the focus, which is nice. Whoa, that's a little too much. So yeah, the background now. Oh, this is definitely a different lens. My goodness. So yeah, check out the difference. It is obviously not as good as the previous one. This is that Canon EF lens, which is a not a native mount like this one is, the M lens. So, yeah, it's a bit of a... It's definitely... This is a full frame lens, whereas the other one is not. And so it crops it a little bit, but I do have the option to manually adjust the focus on this one, on the body, but also I can zoom it out all the way, which you can see all my moving boxes behind me, or I can get uncomfortably close like the last one, and that's 55 mil right there, all close. So I don't think it looks particularly any better, so I'm going to switch back because I don't think it looks any better, to be honest with you. I think it actually looks worse. So, whoops, I didn't shut the camera off. Whoops-a-daisy, that was a mistake. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah, so let's pop that lens off, put on this 50 mil prime again, which, quite frankly, this is the lens for this show. I bought it for this show in particular. All right, snap that into place. Turn on that sensor again. And maybe position it a little better. I'm not too sure how I had this before I left for Northern Ontario. But the issue now is it's really hard to get this thing to autofocus because the settings are all different for... There we go. Okay, that's somewhat better. Definitely not aligned. So let's throw this over here so you can see me again. And then I'm just going to lower this. Ah, yes, the wonders of having a mirrorless DSLR as your webcam and a prime lens. All right. And now we're out of focus. So it comes with an app for the computer that did my first comment not make it through? I don't know. I thought your first comment was, hey, I just finished a changeover, so I actually hang out this morning. That was 14 minutes ago. And woo, Cloud Talk. Cloud Tank. Yes, Cloud Tank. So that's basically what that is some I looked up like royalty-free stuff, obviously, because I didn't want to cause any sort of copyright infringement. All right, let me open the app here to see if I can... Oh, is that going to disconnect it? So the EOS utility app really sucks. If anybody from Canon is watching, and I know you're not, it really sucks because you can't control the camera settings. Yeah, now I'm frozen. You can't control the camera settings while using the camera. So now I've got to like restart this. Ugh. It's terrible, man. Like, it's so bad. Let me switch the source to Pro, maybe? I don't know. Let's see if it kicks on again. It's awful. So, okay. I just loaded it. I'm going to shut this down. Turn it back on. See if it comes up again. Angus says, hey, I'm on a 4-day stream right now for an event called Fragapalooza. We're on Twitch over at FP Events. Right on. That's fun. What are you doing over there? Like, what is the event? Okay, and now this thing definitely isn't. Of course, now the camera is not loading. So let me close down my EOS utility app. And try this again. Oh, you know what? Okay, while we're here, the stream has started, everybody, by the way. If I open the EOS utility app, oh my word. This is awful. Seriously, it's like the number one reason why I want to switch to... I want to switch away from using my Canon camera is because Canon is terrible when it comes to... Okay, we're reloaded now. Okay, camera's back on. So let's jump over here to my fuzzy face. And then now I've got to figure out how to focus this thing while I'm not in front of it. So, like, because my hand's going to cover the lens, right? Gosh, this is brutal. I could move a little closer at least, then I would be at least in focus for the show. But it's really close. Like, if you move forward a couple of inches, it makes you humongous. And obviously my microphone is now in the way. I would prefer to maybe be like back here or something, you know. What it is, is it's a setting on the back of the camera, which I'm going to have to manipulate. The issue is I have a big battery on the back of that camera. And so to get up there and change it is going to be really annoying. But it's got to be done. So let's just do that now. All right, menu. Come on. Yikes. Okay, it won't even let me manipulate the menu. It's probably because I'm plugged in to my computer. So disconnect. Yep, now it's letting me. Okay, wait. Autofocus is on. Okay, I see. All right. Boy, that's annoying. Really annoying, Canon. Just trying to use this as a nice camera. So the theory is there we go. Okay. I may end up just using the HDMI out, right? Because if you use the HDMI out, first of all, you get the 1080 because it does do HDMI out at 1080, which is nice. Whereas this is a 720 image, which is silly low resolution for what it is. But I could definitely get better resolution and probably invest in something that would work long term than monkeying around with this EOS utility, which is granted is free. But if I'm going to pay money for something, you can pay money for a better, like for the utility pro or whatever it is. But it's I don't know, if I'm going to invest money in something, I might as well get something else. So, hey, it's a giant LAN party. A couple hundred gamers in a room, all with their own computers. We've got 3 PTZ cameras and a bunch of streamers sending us their feeds at various times over SRT. The Twitch stream is up on a 9 by 16 foot rear projector screen. We have tournaments of all kinds and stuff throughout the event. I'm producing it all through vMix. We've got a spreadsheet full of our stream sources, and we can build a look in that spreadsheet. A script in vMix pulls those data sources. Oh, that's cool. And then it selects the source to apply it to the layers based on the spreadsheet and sets these titles properly to match. So currently, we have a main streamer playing Sim 4 and 2 PTZs in a picture-in-picture on the sides. That's so cool. Well, that's wild, man. Definitely a wild setup. That's great. All right, so let's chat about what is going on with, in my life, and then we'll get to the content of the show, which today I got the green flag to upgrade my computer. So I'm probably going to end up just buying all new components, but we'll get to that in a minute. I just got back from Temagami, Ontario. So if you don't know where that is, it is in Ontario. If you drive north, and you're going to come to kind of one of the last major cities in the north, which is called North Bay. And North Bay is the place where people either head west towards Sudbury and Sault Ste. Marie and onward, or they head east towards like Quebec or maybe Ottawa if you go a little south. Or if you go north, you're going to go around the top of Lake Superior and end up in Thunder Bay. So along that path, going north towards like around Lake Superior, is a place called Temagami. It's not a very big city. It's only a couple thousand people, and we do some camping in there. So to give you some perspective as to how where it was that I was, let me open up screen captures. So I got all my video source inputs here. And then I will throw that up. Oh, you know what? You know what? Did I not make? I thought last time I was on this show, I made like a picture in picture. So let's just say new input, blank. And here we're going to edit this. I'll actually show you doing this. All right, so here's that blank canvas in vMix, by the way. And I'm using inside the adjustment settings. I'll show you this in just a second. I'm going to select layers, and then in layer 1, I'm going to make that my desktop. So I have a desktop, which is this. Okay, so now we can see the desktop. That's layer 1. And the layer builder is really cool now because they did some updates. And then here, what I want to just kind of generally select this picture-in-picture option. I'm going to drop my camera in here. So, hey, everybody. So now we've got picture-in-picture with my photo here. If I select source 2, I can now just kind of live update change this, which is so nice. And because this is a silly little... the way that the Canon does this, I want to crop off those black edges, right? Matter of fact, I could even take a fair bit more off just to adjust those. Now, you can see me doing that inside the layer format. And then I can actually just take this and tuck it right down in the corner. You just drag and drop it. So that's a huge difference when it comes to how this works, because it used to be that you had to do all that in a different way, and now it's available just at your fingertips. You can also apply a border to, whatever it is that you've got selected. So I wanted to maybe select a green border to a little throwback, and then I can increase that thickness around there if I want to make it like huge. Or better yet, I can make this black to kind of provide some separation between me and the rest of the show. So then I can just shrink this. Oh, whoops. I was going to shrink this down just a bit. I guess that's cropping. But then I look kind of appropriate. I can bring the rest of that border into the shot so that it's even on the bottom. Let's do that. Okay, so now, man, that's so much cleaner. It looks a lot better. And we reviewed this change inside the vMix update show that we did 2 weeks ago now. So, all right, now to show you where I was. So let's go ahead and I'm going to get a tab open here in Chrome. And I will bring that over here. And we're going to say maps.google.com. And this is probably going to show the great state of Tennessee. Whoa. All right. So I live, let's just put in Nashville, Tennessee. I now live in Nashville, or the greater Nashville area. Don't technically live in Nashville, but kind of, So I live in Nashville. And that is, I'm kind of down here, like down over here near like Leaper's Fork at 840. That's where I live, okay? So if I was to take directions from Nashville to Temagami, it's like, did you really mean Temagami, Ontario? And let's just do a quick little upgrades here. Oh, and Angus agrees that this looks good. So excellent. So this is kind of the general path that you would take up to Temagami. I did make a stop in Farmington Hills, Michigan, because I have a friend that lives there that goes camping with me. And I also made another stop in Kitchener-Waterloo to pick up another guy, and we stayed there on Thursday night. So what I did was I went from the Nashville area and I drove up past Louisville all the way into Ohio, and I stopped in Troy, Ohio. Stayed at a place that was okay, not amazing, but it was about 4.5, 5 hours. I did end up going around Louisville by going across 640 to Lexington on Friday because there was some traffic and problems on 71. So I went this way, and then I went northbound. And I ended up in Ohio, inside of Troy, Ohio. So that was a good little stop. Nice little town that worked well. Now, is it north of Cincinnati, right? So it was south of Dayton, north of Cincinnati is Troy. So, anyways, I went there the first night and stayed there on Wednesday night of last week. And then Thursday, I went up to Kitchener Waterloo. And so that is where I had picked up a couple of guys. We'd stayed there for I picked up one guy. Went through, didn't go through Detroit, actually went across the 402, which is here. And then we went up to Kitchener and stayed with a guy here in the Kitchener area, which is, if the screen will update, will show us. And then got in the car the next morning, early, and went through Toronto via the 401 to the 400. So that is here, because the 407 is a toll road. So that would cost a lot of money. It's a stupid expensive toll road in Toronto. So we went 401 to 400, 400 northbound, and then the rest of this is correct. So we went northbound through Barrie, through Orillia, through Gravenhurst, Bracebridge, Huntsville, Berks Falls, Sundridge, South River, Trout Creek, Powassan, and then into North Bay. And so this is North Bay here, which is on top of Lake Nipissing. So Lake Nipissing is kind of the major body of water in that region. And then we headed north. We stopped at a place which I would highly recommend if you're ever in North Bay, which most of you will not be. But if you're ever in North Bay, you should eat at a place called Burger World, which is a sit-down diner, basically. It's not only burgers, but Burger World is where it's at. And we ate here on Hammond Road. We actually got to meet the owner on the way out. And then we got back in the trucks and headed northbound. And so for another hour, we drove up to the Temagami area. And then right here is where we were. So we actually turned off right here at Lowell Lake, which is this little road right here. And then we drove on this road all the way around. And then we portaged in to the lake. So that's where I was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's what I was doing. And on Friday, about dinner time, Eastern time, so 5 o'clock, we were in camp, setting up, kind of getting ready to go. So that trip took me 3 days to get there. And then on Wednesday of this week, we got back in the trucks. We were rolling by 9:30 out of this area, and we were back at Burger World by 11. Then we were done eating around 12-ish, and we hit the road. Back to Kitchener. Actually, we went down to Brampton to see my folks for 45 minutes to an hour. Then we went to Kitchener. Then we went to Farmington Hills across the border. And then I went down to Monroe, Michigan, and stayed in a place on exit 15, which is a pretty well-known exit in Michigan. But went down to Monroe, stayed in a place. Let's say the room was questionable, but it was very inexpensive. And so I stayed down here on, this would have been Wednesday night. And then yesterday, we got in the truck and went for it and drove all the way back. I actually went through, I'll just click on this to remove this. I actually went through 71 through Louisville yesterday, down through Bowling Green and back to Tennessee. So that was a long day. And I don't think my driving hours are done yet because I have a funeral that I need to attend back in Ohio. So I'm here to pick up my wife and kids, and we are headed out this evening back for more driving. So I got to go back to Ohio. Not quite as far this time, but see where all these dots are here in Ohio. That's where we got to get to. So we'll go here to north of Bowling Green on tonight, and then we'll head out towards Ohio in the morning. So it's a lot. That's for sure. I would agree, Angus. It is indeed quite a drive. I just checked on this. It's 33 hours from Edmonton. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Canada is not small. And so when you say, like, hey, I'm going to go up to Temagami, it's a long way just even for Ontario. When I lived in Michigan, I used to leave on Friday morning and just drive all day to Temagami. And that was brutal because you have to be up at 2 in the morning. But this one was better because I broke it up over 6 or 7 hours a day. Yesterday was a really long day, but I still got home at like 4 in the afternoon. So I like that. I think that's a doable thing. If I just plan on it being a bit of a trip and making that a priority, it was that worked well. So, did you guys lose me or something? What happened? I got a frowny face from Angus. Check on the stream. Hang on one second. Go play it live. Okay, I'm still here. But 33 hours from Edmonton is a long way. Maybe you're sad because it's too far. But yeah, if you break it up over several days, then it seems to work pretty well. It worked pretty well. So that was good. I'm happy that I did it, and it was definitely worth all the effort to go. We had a great week. Very little, like no rain at all. Essentially, a little bit in the morning of Sunday. But Temagami is a beautiful place. So, frowny face is for the stream was fine, but the frowny face is because I got a funeral to go to. Yeah, that was a bummer. I got that call while I was up there. So we've got to make arrangements to get up there and get up and back because I got stuff I need to do here in town on Sunday. So I've seen Les Stroud camping in Temagami. Yes. So that is, okay, so if you know who Les Stroud is, Survivor Man, back from the early 2000s, he is from the South River area. I'm trying to remember, maybe Powassan, I can't remember. But he would go up to Temagami and test out all of his camping theories. And so he did a plane crash episode that's on Rabbit Lake, which is just behind us. He was on, it's just to the east of us is Rabbit Lake. And I could just close this now and go here. So Rabbit Lake is this big like V, this Y-shaped lake. That's Rabbit Lake. That's where he was when he did that episode. And then he was walking out, and I'm pretty sure he was either on this lake or on this lake that we're on when he got picked up by his helicopter crew. So that was pretty cool. I was trying to figure it out, but I find that the older I get, the more the bugs bother me. Yeah, that's funny. I mean, the guys up north, the more the older they get, the less they seem to care. So you're going the opposite direction. Maybe maybe that's your youthfulness coming through. I don't know. But anyways, it was an amazing trip and definitely had lots of great memories from this trip. I haven't transferred all my pictures from my phone and my camera, that camera actually, onto my online resource, but I could probably, hopefully this doesn't just choke the bandwidth here, but I could at least upload some of these pictures that I've got. There's only 12 left. So we'll see how this does for the stream quality. Probably not a great idea, John, but whatever. As evidence that I did go, I can show you this photo. Come on. There you go. So I did actually go. This is me on a canoe. This is on the second lake that we have here, and I was out with my friend that day, so that was a lot of fun. But, you know what I want to do here? So I keep looking at my camera view, and it's like definitely all out of place. But this one that you're looking at on this map is perfect. Like it works really well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this name to desktop and cam, or I'll just say desktop. Yeah, desktop cam 1. Because who knows if I'll end up with a... There we go. So this is now a standard look. And I'm going to add another blank look. And we're going to add my camera to it. But we're... oh, yeah, you can see this. Okay, so let's go. Layers. Layer 1. Layer 1. Canutes and camera. All right, and then I'm going to crop this a little bit. So what is going on here? Oh, wait. That's not what I want to do, right? Let's undo. They have an undo button. So great. So let's say move. There we go. We're going to move this. I also like the guidelines, by the way, that they now provide. And then I'm going to crop this so that my headspace is correct. Maybe I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to move maybe like that. I don't know. Let's do a border because that would be fun. And this border I'll make green because why not? And I'll increase the. Wait a minute. That's not going to work. Let's see what this looks like. So if I. Oh shoot! Why did I make this number 2? That was dumb. I meant to do this one. So you see how it's like all out of frame? So let's first shorten this down so that we have some background on here. And then I'm going to crop this down so that it's better, I guess. I don't know. Is that better? Looks a little lopsided to me. But we won't know until we get out of here and we actually look at it. So let's close this. And then, okay, that's a little weird. It's not good. It's not perfect yet, but here's that camera shot. So let's edit that again. And we're going to crop the bottom of this like that. That's not too bad. Maybe I'm a little bit too, whoa. Okay. I think I'm going to have to eyeball this because I think that looks pretty good. But now I need a background. I guess that's why I should have done cam 2 like this and this, because this one probably needs to be a background, right? So layer 2, let's crop the bottom of this again. Let's bring this over because it's obviously too wide. And then we're going to kind of eyeball. Is there a way to just put it in this? Oh, there is. Align. Center, align, middle. Nope. That's not center or middle. All right. So let's just pop this right here. And then we could expand this slightly so that I take up more of the screen. And now I have that luxury of putting like something behind me, right? Like a motion background or something like that. So I could always do I could do this and light that up. And then is it gonna do it? If I say close? No. Well, anyways, I could always run a motion background. So that'd be fun. Let's go with none for now. And I just want to like frame up my camera a little bit. Okay. So back to this real quick. So yeah, here I am up north. This was taken a few days ago. Legit, I was actually camping. That's where I was, I promise. And we got to do some fishing. Let me just go through my photos here. Don't want you to like stumble upon pictures of my kids or anything. Yeah, we did a little fishing. A buddy of mine caught a couple. Of course, I didn't necessarily take pictures of myself with fish, but this is a buddy of mine, Scott, that we do a lot of fishing together. And so he had caught a pike, which is what that is. And he was having a rough afternoon. So he was pretty happy to finally start catching something, which was nice. Where is the... see if I got anything else in here so far. These are the guys. Well, I probably need permission to show that photo. This is a buddy of mine. Well, we did find some wildlife, so that was fun. So here's a garter snake. And a buddy of mine was like, hey, I need you to take a picture of me with the snake. It's kind of hard to see the snake in this photo, but it is right there. So anyway, but yeah, we had a good time. It's a pretty secluded place, and that's great. There's a lot of like guys flying into like bush planes and stuff like that around that neck of the woods. So always a blast to be up there, and I'm fortunate to still get to go. My wife has his Heli Tamagami camping knife. It's a beautiful piece of steel. Yes, I have that on a list of like things I want to get. Is that Tamagami knife. It's not cheap though. right? Like it's a couple $100, I think, at least on Amazon. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place, but it's definitely not cheap. Yeah, these are the photos that I wanted to share with you guys. So I did some night photography up there and was able to, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. How can I make this full screen? Is there an option here for that? No. All right. Well, anyways, this is, I don't know how well this will come across on your computer, but this is basically the night sky that we see up there. And so I was taking some shots with my camera. This is taken on Monday night, I think. Yeah, Monday night. I did night photography. And those lights over there, so it's pitch black up there, right? Like there's no light at all. Those lights up there in the distance are the lights of Temagami. So those are the city lights. And there's some cloud cover over there, so it's really like accentuated by how bright it is out there. But that's the night sky over there on the left-hand side. Right here is the Milky Way. And so you can kind of see that. And then this light is actually from a campfire that's going on behind me. So it's quite the night sky up there, that's for sure. Hey, thanks, Angus. I appreciate that. And yes, that knife is pretty expensive. Agreed. There's one more photo here of the Milky Way that I was going to show you. This one. And yeah, it's such a good place to take photos because it's so dark. And so you get to see a lot of stuff up there. And I had a little app on my phone that shows you the night sky, so you can definitely see where things are. Unfortunately, this time going up there wasn't much by way of planets or things that were kind of visible. So I was only able to catch the big things, which is Milky Way. And there is a good shot of, I don't have it on here, but there's a shot of the Big Dipper or Ursa Major that I was able to get to. So that's actually on this camera. So I'll have to transfer those photos and then do that. Okay, let's shift over to PC Part Picker because I have permission to do some upgrades on this machine. And so I want to purchase something, and I was kind of playing around with this because I know that we always run over and I always go super long, and I appreciate you guys jumping on a Friday to hang out with me, but we definitely wanted to spend some time doing this. And so over on PC Part Picker, I was trying to like put together some basics, but I definitely want your feedback on these items because it's been a long time since I don't normally need to buy computers. People buy me computers normally when it like work for companies or whatever. So this computer that I'm running right now with the 3 screens, this machine I built 8 years ago. So it still works well. There's nothing really super wrong with it other than it's not very efficient. And it's starting to show its age. So I would like to start doing some upgrades. I'm going to keep these screens. I'm going to keep the sound rig. I'm going to keep all that stuff. And I'm probably going to get this computer set up for a secondary purpose. So I'll have a second machine here or somewhere else. But this might become my primary. This computer is going to stay intact. And it will likely become my primary audio rig when we set up my little recording studio, I don't know, in a year or two. So I'll keep this one around. It's still good. It still runs well, but I am looking to upgrade this machine for streaming purposes and for our VR purposes and a bunch of things. So I'd like to get into the place where we can do that. So one of these days we will actually move into a real office/studio. But for the time being, what is going on, Jeremy? Man, it's good to see you again. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing well. Happy Friday. Nice studio. Hey, thanks. I turned on the color light that I have, which I have like 4 of them. And hey, answer to the saga that's been going on with my electrical problems. I think it's the ceiling lights, the little recessed ceiling lights, because when I turn those on, the breaker like trips. But I can run everything in this room with those lights off and everything's fine. When I turn those lights on, it trips. So pretty certain I've figured out that piece. I still need the electrician to come back and fix it. So here is hoping that I can get that arranged. Angus says, morning, Jeremy. I definitely agree with the choice of the AMD. My main streaming rig runs a 7950. It's a fantastic CPU. Okay, so let's start at the top of this list because I need your feedback, all right? Because I'm an Intel guy. I've had an Intel processor for a very long time, and I can even show you the specs on this machine, and then it'll probably be cringy, but I can show you the specs on this computer. Let me split screen this here. All right, so I have Intel Core i7 4790. It's a 4 gig. The RAM, I've got 24 gigs, and the reason for that is I think one of my sticks is corrupted. That's why I have like an odd number, because typically you'd have like 16 or 32, but I have 3 working sticks in there. It was causing failures, like memory failures. So I took it out, and now it works just fine, but I'm limited then to 24 gigs, which has been fine, okay? Let's not get a little crazy. It's a 64-bit operating system, which any computer is these days. That or I guess better is what you might say. But there's the general gist of things. We can even look a little bit deeper at Device Manager if you want to get into all the other things that this machine has. But the things of note are probably the display adapters. So I have dueling 970s, which is the bare minimum for VR. So, I mean, one 970 is the bare minimum for most VR things. But good golly, when we are playing a VR game in Steam or something like that, it is the bare minimum. I'll put it that way. So dueling 970, so I'm looking to get something else there. And then somebody, when I worked for Bird Dog, was gracious enough to buy me a Logitech MX Master 3 set. And so I've got a really nice keyboard and mouse situation here in my post-Bird Dog days. I don't have a specific... Oh, I do have a dueling network card. So that I'll probably want again. Not that this rig and these speeds are necessary, but it seems to lighten the load on the actual getting to the Switch, which, by the way, don't miss, in a week or two, there's a package here from Netgear from my friend John Hinkle, who has sent me a Netgear 4250. And so I know that we have talked at those ad nauseum, but on this channel, I don't have any 4250 resources in terms of places for you guys to come and get an opinion about how to set them up and how, like a networking opinion. So I want to do that. I'm going to record those sessions, and then we'll do Q&A after, just like we used to in the old days. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and don't miss. That will probably be 2 or 3 weeks worth of stuff that we're going to talk about. Setting it up, unboxing, getting it all ready to go. We're going to go through that process. We're also going to use the Engage software to manage everything, and we're just going to walk through that. So I'm going to be replacing one of my Netgear switches, which is an older one, with this straight PoE switch, and I'm really excited to get that content up on my channel, so don't miss out on that. All right, so dueling kind of gigabit ports, which is nice to have 2 of those running simultaneously. I also have the option for Wi-Fi on this machine, but I don't normally use it. And we'll talk about Wi-Fi in a minute, because that plays into some of the stuff that goes on with the motherboards, and I need, again, opinions about what your thoughts are on that, and I will certainly take that into effect. So it's an 8-core CPU, and it's been an Intel Core i7. It has worked fabulously all these years, and I don't really have any major complaints. It used to be, I watched a YouTube video, and maybe you're in the same camp, but I watched a YouTube video about, like, well, isn't i5 better than i3? And isn't i7 better than i5? And not necessarily. They each have their own kind of purpose and function, and so that was really helpful, and I might talk a little bit about that. But then we get into AMD, which is a little bit different as well. So I'm willing to try AMD. I'm willing to invest in that and go with it and see what we can come up with. So there's no real sound drivers other than NVIDIA has their own for their monitor system. So I have a GeForce graphics card, but then they also have drivers for the VR things. And then you also have your Behringer UMC 1820, which is the 404 HD, which is my, you would call it a DAC, I guess. It's your primary input to your machine. But I'm also running a Behringer Core X32 core. So that is my mixer, essentially, which looks a lot like this. That's my mixer for all the stuff that I'm using in this show. So if I bring this up, you guys can't hear music again, right? Yeah, okay. So the music is here, and it just resides on a channel, and I can manipulate it here on the soundboard, which is so nice. All right, so of course, new tech, NDI audio, all that stuff is kind of basic and not a big deal. Everything else, I think, is standard run-of-the-mill. Nothing super special about this. I have a fair bit when it comes to drives. Okay, I have a few hard drives. And so I might need to get two hard drives, one for storage and one for the operating system. I actually already have a 500 gig operating system base hard drive here. So I'm not going to be buying one of those right out of the gates, but I'll probably be looking for one for storage, because when I'm saving games and all that stuff, I'll say, it's nice to have them not on your primary boot drive. So that's what I'm thinking there. Interested in your opinions about that as well. Okay, so now let's go over kind of what I've picked, and I need you to give me the thumbs up, thumbs down on this, because that would be super, super helpful. Go SSD. I 100% agree with you. No moving parts, as few as possible. All right, so the AMD Ryzen 7 7800 seemed to be a good, like, middle-of-the-road processor. It isn't the fancy one that Mr. Angus has, but that is, kind of what I want to do. I would suggest a 2 terabyte and a 4 terabyte together. 2 for the OSD and programs, 4 for recording and editing. Okay, so on this machine, I'm not going to be doing a lot of recording. And I have external hard drives for that function. So I have a couple of Western Digital and a couple of Seagate external hard drives that I record to. So if I'm doing things locally on this computer video-wise, I would record locally to those external hard drives and not onto anything that's like inside the machine. But the OSD drive, the boot drive that I have, is only like 500 gigs. So I might need to buy a bigger. I think I need to do like two terabytes or something just for the storage side of things, because yeah, it gets a little loaded up. So this has great reviews, this CPU. A lot of people have positive things to say. Overall average is 5 stars for this 8-core processor. And yeah, AMD is probably going to have a tough time getting people to upgrade from this. So a lot of these were posted recently, 6 days ago, 5 days ago, 3 days ago, 1 day ago, today, or yesterday. Yeah, I think the 7800 is a good middle of the road, like not insanely expensive, but really high performer. And from what I could tell from reviews and from the way that AMD does their scaling of their device, it seems to be a pretty good choice for a processor. Interested to know what your experience is. Angus, Jeremy, Sean, if you guys have any sort of feedback on that, that would always be extremely welcome. You can get it on Prime on Amazon, which seems to be probably the best way to do that, but it's also out of stock on Amazon. So burnt. So Newegg or B&H or something like that might be where we need to get that. Or we could just wait for it to come back on Amazon. CPU cooler. So this one, I decided to go with kind of an all-enclosed loop, a liquid cool loop, mostly because I'm recording, right? So I've got the RE20 and I'm recording in here, and I need to be able to move a lot of heat quietly. And what I'll probably do is swap out the fans on this guy for, Noctua fans or something like that? Because I'm running those in here for the case cooling. So all of the fans that are mounted to the case are all Noctua fans. and they're dead silent. Like that, I can't hear them at all. Even when they get going, like if they really speed up, they're notorious for being quiet, the quietest on the market, some of them. And so that's what the sound of the computer and the ability of the computer is my primary purpose. Now, when I'm recording, obviously the sound is king, but I'm not really taxing the CPUs, GPUs, or stuff like that. So that all stays kind of quiet. When I put the VR headset on, that's when things get busy. So it becomes obvious. And now gaming with the fans, I don't really care, but I do want it to kind of remain somewhat quiet because this computer will run quite a bit. I have no complaints whatsoever with the 7950, and it sounds like the 7800 is also an excellent chip. I agree. I think that's what it sounds like too. I'm very much in favor of my AIO water coolers. Is that so? You're running these, or you have experience with these? So I've got, again, I checked like reviews and things, and this one's not quite as common, right? 1 year ago, 9 months ago, 4 months ago, but fairly high reviews and no like 1 or 2 stars, just some people complaining, which is average. Like you're going to expect that. So overall, sounds like it's great. It knows its job at being a CPU cooler. It does it very well. Easy to work with, nice, but firm tubing and on a solid radiator. So I like the EK brand. I think, before when I was shopping for water coolers for this one, which I ended up actually not going with, I found that EK was very common in that space. And so this time around, I might go with it just because I have the budget to do it, and that would be desirable. So I'm glad to hear that you've got some experience with it and that you approve. Yep, I've run them and toured with them for the last 5 years. I've never heard of EK. So yeah, they've been around for a while. They've been around for a while because like Jay's 2 Cents back like 10 years ago, when he was building water cooled machines, he was doing custom tubing for a lot of it, but he was using a lot of EK stuff and, was really recommending it. And so it's always been on my radar. And so this time around, the price is pretty good. And, I think that it will be a sufficient heat transfer device I really like the idea of a radiator because that can cool things down quickly. If you heat up water, basically, and then pump it out to a radiator, and radiator fins heat up, but then you're blowing air over them and it's cooling it down. Yeah, I like that a lot. I'm always curious, by the way, of what is your method when it comes to fan placement? How are you expelling the air? Are you doing radiator cool on the back side and pushing the air out? Are you putting it on the front and pushing air out? Are you putting it on the front and pulling air in and like basically bringing the hot air through the chassis? I can't imagine that would be a great idea. But there's, a dime a dozen people's opinions about this online. And I just was curious, like what are people's go-to configurations on that? So I've run Corsair AIOs water cool in 2 of my machines. Yeah, I'm really interested to find out because I hear great things. I hear that they work really well. So interested in giving that a go. And I haven't had too many people say negative or hear like significantly negative things about it. So go down that road. All right. The next one is the motherboard. And I've gone back and forth on this a fair bit. I ended up finding the MSI Tomahawk ATX board, an AM5. And I don't really want to pay money for Wi-Fi. I really have no need for it because, as you all know, over the years that I've been around, I have been a big component of big advocate of doing everything hardline. And I realize that there are situations where you need to run on a Wi-Fi, but I'm going to say those situations should be few and far between and not the industry standard. So there you go. Just to go back here, hot air blows through the chassis. My rack machines are pretty specific about how things have to be mounted. Really? See, that surprises me because you would think that all the fans, you would turn the fans and blow the hot air out immediately. And in turn, you would have cool air coming from one way and out the other, right? Like, so front to back or back to front. But if you're mounting it on the front of the chassis and pulling cool air in and then blowing the hot air through the machine and out the back, you would think that would heat up components unnecessarily. But if you've been running it that way for 5 years, obviously it doesn't seem to make that much of a performance difference. And I think we're splitting hairs at this point, because I don't think that it probably, I guess, unless things are just getting out of control hot. But if you're trying to blow air, for example, off of the GPU and it's already hot air to begin with, wouldn't that run that component hotter? I don't know. My Slayer 3150 has a radiator on the front edge. Air gets sucked through, blown in through the chassis, and blown out the back. It's funny how often Wi-Fi can actually come in handy. When I need to unpack one of my rack machines for a quick test or update, I usually do it over Wi-Fi, but 100% hardwired whenever possible. Yes, I think that you and I are in lockstep about that, because that seems to be the prevailing idea is don't do it unless you absolutely have to. But if you have the option to run it hardlined, then do that. Which is why I have dueling NIC cards on the back of this computer, and I have both of them plugged into basically the same network to load balance that data load and not ever need Wi-Fi. Now, the problem becomes when the hardline network goes down, then Wi-Fi is very handy, right? Because you can still get on and do whatever you need to do. Sadly, it does blow hot air into the GPU, but there's nowhere else that I can mount it on the radiator. So interesting that you mentioned the Slayer boxes. Thank you so much, by the way, for suggesting those in the past, because I was looking at these as well. And I'd probably do a blue chassis, cobalt blue, for $20. And this thing is slick. So my big things is I need it to be an ATX motherboard compatible case. I want as much fan real estate as possible. So that's what this one is, where you can do 2 or 3 on the radiator, this is, I believe, what you're talking about. However, could you not turn the fans around? Right? Just turn them over. Could you not turn the fans around and then suck the cold air from the back through the unit and push the hot air out the front? So I may try that configuration, because if that's doable, then at least the GPU is generating heat, right? But then I'm not doing CPU on the generated GPU heat. Whereas if I turn the fans backwards and push the hot air out the front, it's going to heat up this office, but it would be pulling cooler air in the back over the GPU and then through the radiator and out the front. So it may not be as efficient to cool down the CPU, but I think it will be negligible. I think the difference might be 1 or 2 degrees. I don't think it's going to be 15 degrees. So if I pulled cool air through the chassis and it hit the radiator last, and mine's 360, so it's going to be 3 fans, right? Then that might, push the hot air out. Now, that's a great comment, by the way, that I sit right in front of my rack. So yes, configuration of how you're functioning is also a problem. And if it's in a rack, so I have a glass front rack mounted unit, which means that the hot air is going to be pushing out onto that glass if I shut the door, and going out those vents on the side. Now, it may not be that extreme. Again, we may be talking about 1 or 2 degrees. It may not be that big of a deal, but my AMD rack has 2 wired NICs on the motherboard plus Wi-Fi, and I added a 10 gig SFP card to connect it to my Netgear switch. That's amazing. Maybe that's what I need to do, because I think this 4250 at least has SFP. So when we get down to NIC cards, we'll see what it is that I put on there. Yeah, I run hot to begin with. The air comes out the back so hot, I would be cooked in dead in minutes. If it was blowing on me, that is. That's hilarious. Yes, if you're running that hot, then perhaps the fan configure, sacrificing the heat going out the back is the way to do it. But it is a huge case. Look at this. It's massive. And I'm pretty excited about trying this out. This is a 4U chassis, though, which means that that computer is going to have to come out and we're going to have to move some things around in order to get it all in here. But it means that the GPU can stand up inside like it's a full case GPU. So that's pretty awesome. Big fan of that. And I don't really need like the removable drive storage, so I don't need like CDs and stuff like that. So all it is, it has mounting for hard drives, and that's all I need. Especially SSDs, you can buy. Let's go here to photos. You can buy, mounts then that will mount those SSDs into these locations, and I think it'll be great. You can even buy the Noctua fans here and that 360 right here, but this is much more expensive than the one that I have. Oh no, this one isn't though. 70, so $80. That's tempting because that would be cheaper to just to buy it here. I would really like to get some sliding rack mounts because I think those would be fun to have, and then you could actually work on the computer while it's in the network box. But anyways, endless money, it's fine. So PCIe lanes are definitely an issue in most modern motherboards. I don't run my machine hard, but it does make some major heat. My 3U supports the upright GPU, but only up to a certain height with a turnaround on the power connector. Yeah. So all of those things become a factor when you have limited vertical space. And that's kind of what I was thinking is I'd like to not have that problem. So anyways, I'm thinking about this one, the CX4170A, and in blue, cobalt blue. I think that'll look really slick. And maybe buying I think though the Noctua fans are cheaper elsewhere. They're 3 for $75, maybe a little bit overpriced. So anyways, the motherboard. So this Tomahawk seems to have pretty good reviews, and people seem to like it pretty well. I have always run Asus boards, so that's been my life. But in the AMD world, I'm willing to kind of change it up and see how it goes. I did find out a way to speed up my boot speeds for my Asus board. So now it's not a 2-minute boot up sequence. It's about a 20-second boot up sequence. Should have done that a long time ago, but it's nice to have that figured out. And people do some really nice stuff with these. I also like the fact that this board is pretty much blacked out. Not that people are going to see the board, but I don't all motherboards, not all, but many motherboards these days are all RGB'd and everything. They're all meant to be seen, and I don't need to pay for any of that. I don't want to pay for any of that because it doesn't make any sense. I'm considering upgrading to an RTX A4000 and putting a 3060 into my older Intel i9 build. I am 100% happy with my Slinger case. I'll be going with them from here on out. Yeah, I bought a pretty good case, what I thought was a pretty good case for this build, and I was really happy to get it into a rack mount because it tidied things up. I don't need a tower, you don't have to kick it, it doesn't need to sit under your desk, all that. So I bought this and was like, man, this is the way to go. Well, this is a 3U case, and so going to a 4U case may be give me a little bit extra room. It's a pretty tight fit with the 3U case. So but the Tomahawk board doesn't have those RGBs. It has sufficient, actually has USB-C, which is nice because the current one that I have, that wasn't a thing back then. So it has lots of ports, a 2.5 gig network card, so we can start there, and have multiple connections to the network. But it's just kind of blacked out, very simple, and looks quite clean. It does have Wi-Fi. And I wonder on the specs, onboard Ethernet, Wi-Fi 6E. So I think that might be sufficient for what I need it for, just like getting on the network. But anyway, people seem to have a pretty good review of this board, and I'd be willing to give it a try. Any concerns from the crowd out there? Yeah. Go 4U for sure. I went to 4U to make room for my 6U rack. I went 4U to make room in my 6U rack for the M4250. Sounds like your rig and my rig are going to look fairly similar. All right, back to the parts. So the next was the memory. And this is one of those things that I haven't purchased in a long time. And so I don't really know what I'm looking at. Like I don't know if this is the best or not. But for $100, we can do 16 gigs. 2 sticks at 16, which give us 32, and I'm going to do double. So I was going to go up to 64 on this. Now I know that RAM is not necessarily as important as it was, I'll say 20 years ago. And there are other devices now in your computer that are handling onboard memory and processing, and so it's not as critical. But I have 4 slots on this, and I'm not doing 120 or 128. I want to go to 64, and I think that will be great for processing all the, with Steam and with processing VR stuff. I do offload a lot of the VR stuff onto the GPU, and I offload a lot of the vMix stuff onto the GPU. So that will be more important for that. But one of the reasons I want to do this is I want to get to encoding the new encoding functions of vMix. So as you may have seen, AV1 is now available, and the other one, HENC, is now an option. And those both require a higher level GPU. So the 970 is not even going to give me that option to encode and send to YouTube. Whereas if you can get a GPU that can do AV1, that's like 50% of H.264. At 50% required bandwidth and processing power, which I don't know how they did that, but I would be very interested in AV1 if YouTube will accept that natively. So that's kind of the part of the reason for this is I want to upgrade the vMix side of things, and it's going to handle processing and doing a lot of gaming and doing VR and all that stuff. I just want to make that a rather robust machine to do that. Rather, I went from a 4U chassis to a 3U chassis. Got you, to make room. That makes a lot of sense. Lots of compromises to make it all work, but no major regrets. Well, and if it was here's the thing about this, right, is if it was substantially cheaper, so you went to, what'd you say, 3701? So you went to, yes, 3150. 3150. So one of these 17-incher. So I like it. It looks the same, My concern is the GPU, and it's not really that much cheaper. So we go back here. Let's take off all the customization stuff. Off. So I understand that the U space is important. That's not really a big deal for me. But for what, like $20 more? Go here. Wait, what does that say? Deeper bay. So if I just go, you said 70, right? So if I just open this here. The 4170A, there's a fair bit of like headspace there. The 3170A, obviously 1U less, and it's going to be a tight squeeze for that GPU. Like really tight squeeze. And I think they do their best to show, like here's what it looks like with the GPU inside. But I don't know. Why does it keep closing? I don't know if I want to like play that game. Space is not a premium for me, like not a big concern. So I have the 3150. Oh, I'm sorry. Space is not a maximum premium for me. Like it's not do or die. It is nice that they put these in here. Like here's what it's going to look like with a, with it all kind of rigged out. Do we have a CPU picture? Or I'm sorry, a GPU picture. Not really, eh? So if I'm running a 3U unit now, and if I wanted to keep it the same, I could, but I actually have an open U that I can move things around and make that work. So I'm not concerned about that, and I think I might just go with. Now, this is going to be an additional $50 to go from oh, I'm sorry. It's going to be an additional $30 to do mine over this one. And so for me, I think that makes sense to do that. Anyways, I don't know much about this brand, for example. G-Skill. Sounds made up. But it the price is decent and it gets great reviews. So we've got a fair number of 5 stars. Everyone seems to think it works well. You can overclock it if you really want to. I don't think I need to, but no issues with this. You know, affordable, dependable. These are all like keywords that I want to hear. So I'm not like this isn't a must for me, this brand, but it seems to make sense, and I don't think that I need to drop a bunch of money on something that's bigger and better for what it is that I need, especially if I have 64 total gigs. That will be plenty sufficient for what it is, because the function of what I do is basically this. Like, this is currently what I'm doing, this and a little bit of gaming. So if I can upgrade the system substantially and get more memory, like I've got 24 gigs in here right now. So if I go to 64, it's essentially 3 times the speed almost for the RAM. So I think I'll be good. My Gator racks are a little shallow for the 70A series. Yeah, I have a Gator rack or a similar rack to the Gator, and it's okay, but it is pretty shallow. Even their like regular standard size is pretty shallow. My 3U all need SFX power supplies rather than the ATX. With an ATX supply, you have to run them sideways, which covers half of the holes for your motherboard. So go 4U if you can, 100% of the time. Tell me about that, because I'll skip down here to the power supply. This is an ATX power supply. So will this not fit in that case? That's very interesting to hear. I mean, this is why I'm going through this process with you, because are you saying that I can't mount this in the correct orientation with the 3U box? So the 4U might work, but the 3U might not. Let me look at the mounting holes on this thing, because you can do that. So here, I mean, it looks standard to me. Why you would have to mount it sideways, that's brutal. But it does say, like this Slinger case does say that it obviously is for ATX motherboard, so it would need to be an ATX power supply as well, right? Anyway, so the power supply I'm going with is a 750, 80 plus gold certified modular ATX power supply. And I want the modular one because I currently don't have a modular one, and you have to cable manage all those things, which is really annoying. So an ATX power supply's long dimensions is just over the height of a 3U chassis. If you're going to go with 4U, then you are good. The 3U needs to be an SFX supply, which is significantly smaller. There are very high quality SFX supplies available, though. Well, there you go. Well, you don't have to compromise on quality then, which is nice, right? But in this case, this is a Corsair RM750E, and according to the parts picker, this will be plenty compatible for what it is that we want to do. Now, the big thing, let's talk about the GPU real quick and kind of go through that. This, planning on doing a single GPU, which is the 4060. On the vMix overview for the upgrades for 27, version 27, they said that you need a 4,000 or higher GeForce GPU in order to do both standards. Now you can go cheaper and get a 3000s and you'll be able to do AV1, which is really the one I want to try. But as you know, I don't buy new machines often, nor do I have budgets to do that. This is kind of a unicorn right now. And so because I don't have budgets regularly to change out machines and make new ones, I'm kind of going to go with the bigger one. This GPU is confirmed that it will run all 3 screens and my VR headset all at the same time. So you can use all 4 outputs at the same time, which is great because I've got 3 large 27-inch curved monitors that all sit next to each other. Actually, the camera sits right between monitors 2 and 3 right now because I want this, like, I want to be able to look down the lens, right? And it's a little annoying that I should put a monitor on the top of it too now that I'm kind of home again so that I can see myself right now. When I look here, I'm looking at vMix. When I look here, I'm looking at the lens. So I keep catching myself looking at the screen and not at you, and so then that reminds me to look at you again. But anyway, so this GPU, it's a GeForce RTX 4060. It's a full-size model. It's not, it does pretty much everything I think I need it to do for what it is that I want to do. But the GPU is always the piece that, there's so many of them, first of all, and they come in all different form factors. And I don't know what I'm compromising if I get a smaller one. And so for $300, that's probably the one I might go with. It looks very similar to the ones that I have. The ones that I have are 970 GeForce WindForce GPUs, and they have performed great over the years. They're just underpowered. And I had them as an SLI bridge, but as you all know, vMix does not play nicely with SLI bridges, and so I can't use those in that configuration. But if I stop using vMix on this machine and I use it on this new one that I'm building, then this unit can be SLI bridged, and all those games then can maximize the processing power of dueling GPUs and not single GPUs. So that's why I want to keep this one around, because I still want to use it for various things. But for my main everyday, I would be running this 4060. Now, on that Tomahawk board, like on the Asus board that I have dueling GPU slots. Okay, so there's 2 on that board. I don't know. Where is the Tomahawk board here? Is it this one? Uh-oh. Okay. So the Tomahawk board, I don't think has that. Maybe it does. But you'll notice, does it? Maybe it does. But you'll notice that it only has one PCIe lane, and it's a 16, which means that you can't really run anything else on this thing, which is really annoying. I think that's what that is right there, is a second. So I may be able to, in the future, if I want, run a dueling 4060, and maybe that, like if I have a spare $300, get 2 of them and put them in there. But let's just look at the specs real quick. So it says PCIe 16 slots 2, and then a PCI slot 1. Yeah, so I may be able to get 2 in there. That's fascinating. So then what does it look like? Well, we go back to PC Part Picker and click on this and then just say add to cart again, right? All reviews, add to part list. If I click on it again, compatibility issues, warning. Tomahawk board supports 8-core processor. If the BIOS is old, you'll need to update. And then, look at this, PCI 1 and 2, that it can totally take it. Oh, that's interesting. Wattage required is 535 watts. Okay, don't bother with dueling GPUs. Okay, why not? Curious to know. Why would you not bother with 2 GPUs? I mean, I've got I've got essentially 4 monitors that I need to run. Will that GPU, if buying dueling GPUs, will that load balance and work well? I know with VR, at least with HTC Vive VR headsets, which are the ones that I buy, they require the VR headset to be plugged into the primary GPU, so GPU 1. So when I put all this stuff back, like we moved to Tennessee and I put it all back inside the rack, I plugged it all in and it said, no, please put the VR headset in GPU 1. So I moved one of the monitors to GPU 2 and moved the VR headset into GPU 1, because you can use 3 ports on a 970. You can use 3 ports simultaneously, which is why I had dueling GPUs, because I had 4 video ports. So in this configuration, I can use all 4 at the same time. Nothing's really written to support them anymore. Not at all. Wow. That's true. I mean, vMix doesn't support it. And it doesn't really seem to matter too much. Like inside the NVIDIA software, you can delegate which programs run off of the GPU and which ones run off the CPU, right? And so you can go in, like I've got 2 GPUs and then I've got an i7 CPU. So I offload most of the processing stuff onto the dueling GPUs, and they work pretty well. They keep up. But the majority of the processes all happen on GPU 1, and then the big things happen on GPU 2. So like running vMix, it will only run on a single GPU, as you stated, and that's what I do. I just run it off of one that's not really doing very much. Something like Resolute Arena can output across multiple GPUs worth of displays, but will only process on one. SLI isn't even a technology that they offer anymore. You can get sync bridges for the A cards, but it still doesn't really help. Okay. See? And that's why we talk about this stuff, because yeah, if it doesn't make any sense, then I'm not going to spend $350 on a second GPU to really not increase any sort of performance. So, boom. So I don't need any monitors. I don't need any cases. I might need one monitor eventually, because I'll probably move this, into a different rack space, and then I'm going to need a monitor to do, or maybe 2. But I will probably end up getting a TV, like a monitor and then a TV mounted on a wall as a secondary monitor if I'm doing recording stuff. So that's like future expense. That's not even a part of this build. I will get a TV for that computer, which is a Mac Mini, because I do DaVinci Resolve on that one, do a lot of editing. And so that would be very helpful to have a television showing the output, the final output of everything, and then having all your controls and not necessarily needing to have a preview window of what it is that you're doing. So that is the plan for the Mac Mini. But again, that's a third machine. So now we go down here to expansion cards. And I'm just going to add, because I've got a 2.5 gig network card on board the actual motherboard, I'm going to add a SFP card instead. So here we're going to say SFP, and nothing comes up. So fiber, and nothing comes up. Is it Fibre? That's hilarious that there's no compatible parts. Really? Nothing here that's for SFP? I find that odd. Come on now. Choose a wired network adapter. I guess for this, the function of this, there's probably not a lot of people in the market looking for SFP stuff. And so let's head on over to our trusty dusty Amazon, and let's just say SFP network card. Now, the network switch that I've been given by Netgear is just SFP. And so we can do a 10G Tech, which I've used in the past. We can do a 10G Tech out of that. Now, that reminds me, it's a Netgear 4212P, I believe. I could open it, but then we wouldn't get to do the unboxing. So the GSM 4212P, it is the base model, okay? And it comes with two 1 gig ports on the SFP side. So I want to utilize those SFP ports, at least one of them, if not both of them. So if we look at the 10G Tech, and then we purchased one of this, size times 2. No, that's blue cards. That's not what I wanted. Which one did I buy? One variant, 2 SFP plus. So let's view this item instead. Because this was the unit that I had inside the what's it called? Wow, the screen is very delayed. This is the unit that I had inside of, I think that's the NDI struggling. The Sonnet box that I had. So inside the Sonnet box, I had this dueling SFP unit, and it was plugged into two different Netgear 4250s, 4212P units, PXs, I think. And it went into 2 switches for load balancing, and then those 2 switches were bridged. So I went from one one SFP into one switch, one SFP into another, and then those SFPs were linked together. And so I basically had redundant network into my NDI Studio network. It was quite nice. Now, I won't need that here, but I would like to do dueling SFPs from this new computer into this Netgear switch. So I'm really looking forward to making that happen. It's a fine switch, agreed. And I'm pretty excited about getting one here and having one as my primary switch on this network up here, because that's going to free me up to do NDI stuff, have a proper network configured. So looking forward to that. So this is the card that I would probably get with this. And then you can buy, it looks like you can buy, can you get the transmitter and receiver together? Ugh, don't do those. Yuck. But then I got to buy SFP mods, which actually aren't that expensive, and fiber cables. So there's more to that purchase than just this. But this is an extra, right? Because I'm going to be going hardline into the motherboard at 2.5 gigs, which the Netgear 4212 won't even do 2.5 gigs. So I'm going to be going out non-PoE, that's ports 9 or 10, into the computer. And then I'm going to be going fiber into 11 and 12. So yeah, we'll be good. We'll be good with the bandwidth, that's for sure. So I'm not too concerned about that. It's overkill. I actually quite like 10G Tech. I think they do pretty well. They make pretty inexpensive network cards, and they have always performed in high performance networks for me fairly consistently. So, whatever your feelings are on them, I tend to go to them fairly regularly, and they work pretty well. So, all right, let's head back to my parts list, PC Part Picker, and I just want to look at, whoops. Now, hang on though. Hold on. This guy, is this the correct? Let me look at the motherboard, because this is, what configuration is this? PC8. Oh, see, that's not right. So I need 10 gig dueling port PC16, right? So let's go here, paste PCIe 16, because otherwise I'm going to need to get an external thing for it. All right, 10G Tech. This is a different card. It says PCI Express 8 on it. Shoot. 10 gig dual. Broadcom chip. I've had pretty good success with Broadcom chips in the past. But are any of these... Oh, TrendNet. That's another one that I've purchased in the past. PCIe slot. That looks like a 16. Let's look. So... My goodness. PCIe 2 times 4? I have dueling 16s and I have a... What is it? This is really annoying. Let's go back here. Slots on this. I've got PCIe times 1 and I've got dueling 16 slots. So that's the 16. This is the 1. So if I'm not doing, I guess if I'm not doing dueling GPUs, then it doesn't really matter, right? We can go with whatever. So this is the dueling chipset, PCI Plus, and you purchased one variant. Oh, but this is 10 gigs. Broadcom purchased another variant of this. SFP Plus, that's what this is. Is this 10 gigs though? Certainly it must be. It's I don't know. It's kind of annoying. 10 gig, SFP Plus, PCIe 2.0, 8 lane, suitable for both PCIe 8 and 16 slots. Okay. So yeah, okay, $50 or something like that. I will add this to the shop, to the computer build list, which is in Amazon as well. Camera, computer build. There we go. Done. And we're also going to add this to a list, which is $34. And then we're going to add a couple of LC cables. They really don't need to be that big. How long are these? LC to LC. OM3s, that's fine. 10 gigs, 10G Tech fiber patch panels. Let's open this because number of items, 2. LC to LC. How big? 7 meters. Oh my goodness, I don't need them to be 7 meters. I need them to be like 1 meter. Really don't need them that big. Let's go 5 footers, 1.5 meters. Okay, $9. I can live with that. If I get dualies, is it less than $18? Yes, it is. Okay, so 2 of those, and I'll add that to the list. Oh, I guess I'm going to need 4 SFP mods, right? So they have a pack of 4 cheaper than $68. Not much cheaper. All right. Well, we'll put those on the list and get rid of the other ones. But there's a newer item of this. These are just straight SF. These ones are SFP Plus though. So I want to get all the same, even though the module is only SFP. So go with DAC rather than fiber. Are you going very... You're not really going very far, are you? Skip the fiber. Go with DAC. Read the chat. Why DAC? Because I've used those before and they're okay, but I don't really find them any more versatile than fiber. And these ones then, I can swap them out for like 500-foot fiber cables and they work just the exact same. I've used those DAC cables before. We had them at Bird Dog. I bought some of them because I thought that, oh, this will be cleaner. It'll look nicer. And then it just, I don't know, I wasn't very impressed. I didn't really feel like it it was great. Now they're certainly cheaper. So for 2 meters, let's say 1.5 meters, which is 5 feet. I'm not opposed to. What is going on here? Sorry, guys. I must be switching satellites. Starlink. It's a totally passive solution. Wait, I made it more expensive. How is that? 2 meters. 17. That's what? 6 feet? 7 feet? Yeah, sorry, everybody. The satellites must be switching here. That's why we're getting some. All right, so for a 2-pack, $34. They come with the units. And okay, and it's a whole lot cheaper. So we could do that. These deck cables are cheaper still. They're SFP, which is what I have. What are these are SFP plus. But the switch is only SFP. So like, yeah, it's, you know, for $12, it's not the end of the world. So let's say computer build. Let's go into this list though and take out the things that I don't want. You're probably right, Angus, as usual. So we'll remove these items. So I don't need those. All right. So now we've got on here, we got the power supply, we got our memory, we have the AMD Ryzen 7, which we're going to give a go. And then this motherboard, which has that PCI 16 lane. We're only doing a single GPU, the 4070. And then this is the chassis we're going with. There's a nice big 4U chassis. And I might try and get some rails for this. So if we say, server rails, slide out server rails. Come on. Server rail for sliding. All right, we'll see what comes up here. Sys racks. I have these already, so I don't really need those. What I do want, though, is the ones with the ball banks. I had those at a previous job, and I love them. And then it lets you pull the whole unit out, open it up, work on it, and then put it all back. So it's quite handy. I have both options. DAC saves you all the effort of having to clean the fiber cable faces. Basically, the issue is I don't see why you'd ever bother going fiber for such a short distance when you could just do the DAC. DAC is just a cable with SFP or SFP plus ends. Yes, it's like a prefab, right? Don't get SFP plus cables for the 4212. You got to go SFP. Okay, so that is good advice. And if we say, well, let's just go back to that list, right? So these are SFP plus. So we got to go SFP, which is these ones. So looks like they don't have it in the offering. They can only buy one at a time, but they're the same price. That's only 1/4 meter. So if I say 2 meters, SFP, 1619, all right, and then quantity 2, and then list. I don't really need meters. That's kind of overkill. And let's kill some of these background processes because it looks like I'm struggling here to keep up. So don't really need 2 meters. Ooh, there's a sale on 4 meters. What is 1 meter? Okay, that's good. That'll be fine. 3 feet is enough for what I'm doing. And then we're going to add these to the computer build. Now let's take a look at that list. Because these are just the straight SFPs. 3 feet. And on here, We're going to say quantity 2. There. So $10 gig PCI dual SFP Intel controller PCI Express. All right. So I don't need this like mount, for example. I don't need these spacers. I don't really need any of those items. Then we go on. So, okay, there's the network controller, and that's going to cost me what, a grand total of like $70. So that's a good way to do it, I think, and a good advice from Angus. So there you go. Always useful and good stuff. All right, back to this list. Let's go to this list because we've got the expansion cards here already then picked. I don't need any like webcams, mice, speakers, anything like that. I got lots of those items here. And then other things like case fans and whatever, I've also got those. So that is pretty much the complete list. What am I spending money on that you maybe would not, or what's the advice for this list so far? Because that's it. That's in its entirety. That's the entire list right there, with the exception of a case and the network card. Those are all the pieces, and right now that's going to run about $1,500, which is under budget, or $1,600. No, with the case it's going to be $1,800, which is close to budget. It's still under budget, but it's getting closer. So, yeah, that's great. I think that I'm happy with this so far, but what are your impressions? Always interested to know what you think of the overall gist of things. Again, I don't need anything fancy. I don't need things with RGBs. Don't need any. I'm purely interested in, the computer running and running quiet. Here we could do like case fans. Let's see how much those. We're just going to go to merchants and just right away just say Noctua. Wait a minute. Oh, those are merchants. I want manufacturers. Manufacturers right here. So, yoink. When I was building the first computer like this one, I actually bought a bunch of Corsair fans and then put them in, and man, they were noisy. And that it's probably changed over the years, but then I started learning about like Noctua has two different main streams, right? They have high velocity, lots of air, so you put those on like the back of your case to suck all the hot air out, or they have high density air, meaning you put them on radiators and they can push through thick things. So I ended up buying the high velocity ones to move the maximum amount of air out of the case. And in my old office, it got so hot in there. Like it just heated up so bad because dueling GPUs, CPU is running hard. And when you played games and stuff, the degree was 15, 20 degree difference. So, but anyways, this is kind of like where I get to this conversation. So you can see the different fan configurations. You notice how they have like different fins and stuff. So that's basically what that is it is the ability for the fan to either move high quantities of air or move air through radiators and stuff. So when you're doing cooling and whatever, that's how you think of it. I can't remember which one is which, and I may have bought those fans. If I go to like orders, I may have bought those fans from Amazon. Noctua. Yeah, so ordered this in premium quiet fan. Oh, these are the ones that I have. 4-pen premium quiet fan and Like they're not super expensive for fans, like for high quality things. And they've been running almost every day for 8 years. So, I can't complain. It's been quite sufficient. But these things, premium quiet, next gen, combines high airflow with high static pressure. That's the correct term, static pressure. Ideal for case fans and for CPU coolers, water cooling radiators, and AIO liquid cooler systems. State-of-the-art engineering. They are very quiet. The bearings are super quiet. And includes anti-vibration mounts. Oh, yeah, that's so cool. So the edges of these fans are like rubber, and then inside is the mounting bracket. So when you put a screw through them, when the fan moves, it like has a little shock absorber on it, which makes them quiet, even quieter. So love that. That's, really cool stuff. But big fan of, no pun intended, I'm a big fan of these. Whoa, this is a box fan with a similar type fins. So probably do something like that too in here, because again, I'm not taking the fans out of this computer. So I'll probably do fans like this as well. You can buy the NFA8. Let's go here. Yeah, I wish that there was like a better way that they would signal which one is which, like which is static fans and which one is, I'm assuming the S is for static, but maybe not. Let's go here. Great, performs well, fast. Where's the overview of the product? Product details. It just goes right to reviews. I guess these are the details over here. Static pressure. So this is a static fan. It's got these really thick fins. So does that mean, this one's also static, I bet. Features. Doesn't really say. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Let's go back to choose a case fan. Maybe there's a subcategory here that'll say like, so my fan, I believe my fans will be 120s, need to be 120s. And what is PWM? What does that stand for? Let's find out. Let's see if it's listed here. PWM, yes. But well, if only there was a giant search engine. Knock to PWM. Power something or other. Knock to what is Noctua PWM? White paper specs. How do you optimize my fan settings? Let's take a look at the white paper real quick. Oh, Chad with the win. Pulse width modulation means the speed is controllable. Oh, okay. Well, that I should just ask you guys. Hey, how's it going, Chad? Good to see you, man. Okay, so that's probably why it's on every single one of these fans. Doesn't necessarily say, so it's a variable speed, right? The controller can actually send it a signal and say, go this fast or don't go this fast. So then the question becomes, well, which fan configuration is which? And maybe we are, maybe it's all a hoax and it doesn't really matter. Maybe it's just whatever configuration you prefer. So PWM, yes, because it does these different orientations or speeds. And then it's a 4-pin. Oh, that reminds me. Where did it go here? So how many on this motherboard, how many pins are available. So fans, memory slots, controllers, onboard Ethernet, video headers. Where is the fan? Controllers. Oh, M2 slots. Oh, we got to talk about hard drives. So where is the fan controller on this? It doesn't actually say. Supports. Can I search for that? Or can I just look at the board? Looks like down here we've got a bunch of pin controllers. There's a whole bunch of them. The A12x25 is the most common 120 computer fan. Oh, that's good to know. So I'm middle of the road if I go this way. And it gets a lot of great reviews. I mean, there's 102 reviews and 94% of them are 5 stars. So they go for $30 on Amazon. These are the ones we were just looking at. So, and then there's probably some great reviews on here too, right? Ratings. Yeah. So lots of, whoa. Excuse me. That's a lot of fans. When I had a tower, I had the option to mount like 4 fans in the front of the tower. And that's what I did. So I had like opened up and I had a grid. And then I had a bunch of fans running down the front of the tower. So that's kind of the configuration I had, but not quite. He's got a lot of these in there. Like, look at all these. So maybe that's what I plan to do. I need to look at the Sligger box here and see how many fans and in what orientation. I know on the front, you can mount liquid cooling support for 360. Yep. So that's where the cooler will go on the front. And then on the back, how many, if any, fans can you mount on the back? None? Like here? Anything there? Maybe on the sides? I don't know. You would think that they would. This looks like it's the only orientation, though. Yeah, I don't see any case fans for, because your motherboard's here, your cards are here. So it doesn't look like there is a, man, I don't know then. I feel like I would want to mount these on the front pushing the air out of the case. So then the cool air is coming in the back, getting in the GPU, but then the air is flowing through the case to get out through the radiator, which is then the last heating step. But I hear you, Angus, that if you're sitting in front of it, it's going to be really hot. Most fan headers on motherboards are PWM by default. The only ones that are not labeled for a water cooling pump. And you can buy splitters too. So if you have all your case fans, in one array like this, you can just plug them all into the same one. And then when it gives the command to run it at 1,000 RPMs, it'll just run all 3 of them at 1,000 RPMs, which is what I did in this other machine because I had a ton of fans. But I had other places to mount fans because I had hard drive bays in the front. So I was able to remove the bays and put a fan in so that it had cooling at the back and cooling at the front. But in this one, I have a Mr. Cool or something. I forget what it's called. Cooler for the CPU. So it's not as fancy as what this next one's going to be. Which maybe then I don't need as many fans because I'm moving the air all through one way. But anyway, that's interesting stuff. So I don't hear anybody saying don't do it. So I like that. If I go back to this list, this is basically the system, and with a couple of extra things from Amazon. But the price at the door is under $2,000, which I like. Now I don't have to buy any monitors or anything like that, so that helps substantially. It's the most common to have cool side in the front. The Noctua fans all come with Y splitters. I daisy chain all 3 of mine together that way. So you mean cool air coming in from the front and pushing out the back? So the only thing that I think about that is, wouldn't that heat up the GPU unnecessarily? Couldn't you bring cool air into the system and cool air run over the GPU? And it's obviously going to expel the hot air into the case, but you could be sucking air from the back to the front, which I know is not traditional. But wouldn't that keep the radiator cooler, then pulling cold air over the radiator and then pumping that hot air from the radiator onto the GPU? So then it would be heating up unnecessarily. Again, it's probably not required all. Rear chassis fans. So in the Slinger box, do they have some? Like, do they have mounts for them? Because I don't see them on this picture, Angus. I sent you photos of my setup. Fantastic. Where did you send those? Do you have my email or something? Let me take a peek at my email. It's probably associated with this channel, isn't it? So okay, I don't have an email, but where did you send those? Let's say all mail and see if I'm missing anything. No. Oh, on LinkedIn. Attaboy, that's smart. Well done. Okay, let me jump over to LinkedIn. Yeah, that was a good move. So let's load up Angus's stuff here real quick. If you ever need to send me something, be my friend on LinkedIn, and that is an efficient way to get in touch with me because it's secure and good to go. Okay, so here is the rig via Angus. And that is quite a big rig. Looking good, though. That's the 3U chassis, right? And then is there... It's just the one photo. Okay, so... Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, it's super clean, which is what I'm going for. But I like just that kind of clean, simple look, and it's nice and tidy. And then, so there are rear mount fans, the rear mounts for the fans on the case, because I just don't see them here. But if there are, that would be amazing. Like this spot here, obviously, would be great for it. But if there are spots where you can mount fans, then, or maybe did you just jimmy rig it? Is that what you did? Doesn't the GPU normally push air through its fans out the back? No, because it's not oriented that way. Yeah, above the I/O shield. Oh. Okay. Seems like an appropriate channel. Slinger Plus toys in the 6 GPU. My Core i9 has a spare computer just in case. It sounds like you've had issues in the past. The second photo will show the fan, and no, they will fit perfectly. Okay, let me go back to LinkedIn. And then, wait, I only got one photo. Where's the second photo? Maybe I have to refresh this. Anyways, I've got one photo. But yes, if there are fans that mount in the back, that's also amazing. I would love to see more on that. Whoops. So put your hand next to the back of your GPU and you'll feel the air coming out. Okay, here you go. Oh. Right on. I mean, I know that's the way that, but my GPU is standing up on the motherboard, right? So it's pushing air left to right, not out the back. Or is it sucking air in and then pushing it out the grates on the, that's what it's doing. Okay, so then, again, though, you want the colder air in the case before. Yeah, but then I guess I see what you mean. The hot air would be coming out the back of the chassis and then probably getting sucked in the chassis again. So yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. I do like this. Are those official mounts on your case? Like, or did you just do it through the grate? Looks like you like have a mounting mechanism there or something like that you just mounted. What are those, 80 mils? It shows as sent. I just got it. Yeah, got it here. So are those like magnets or what are those? How did you do that? I'm sure I could find a method, but that's very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So, yeah, I could just mount them here and attach them somehow, just like you did. That maybe would work. Anyway, so I think that's what I want to go with. I don't, are there those brown rubber things poke through the holes and they come with the fans? Oh, I just did it through the grate, but I could have sworn that they were meant to go there. Yeah, they're 80 mils. They come with these little rubber plugs. Perfect. Well, let's go. So then we go back to here. We've added these to this shopping list, right? And then we can get these 80 mils, which are for basically moving quantity. Get a couple of those. And we'll add those to that list. Just as regular chassis fans. Just to kind of keep the air moving. Then I think we're fine. Like, if you're getting enough quantity, then the radiator's not going to get very hot. Like, it's not going to get extremely hot. And so if you have enough air quantity going through, and actually this room is a lot cooler than my Clarkston home, because in Tennessee, you have to know how to air condition your home. Otherwise, you will die. But then I think with these guys on board, that's basically what I need, right? So I think this thing is done. And yeah, this will be fun to put together. I will definitely be doing a live stream unboxing all this stuff, putting it together, talking about each of these parts. I think that is the plan. So this gives us lots to talk about and getting it going and firing it up. And I love this stuff. This is always fun. And then there'll be like 6 weeks of getting all the programs that were on my first computer over to the second one, right? So vMix will need to move over that license. Do I have two? With vMix, I get 2 licenses, right? Like, somebody bought me this copy of vMix Pro, or vMix Pro, vMix 4K. They sent it to me as a thank you for my work at Bird Dog. It was like totally unexpected and super generous. Like, I just couldn't believe that somebody did that. And, but I think I have 2, I have license to run it on 2 computers, right? I think that's the limit. But anyways, regardless of that, this I think will be what I'll go with. So pretty excited. And now I'm just going to try and find the best prices and the fastest shipping for all these items. And yeah, start placing these orders. So pretty excited, guys. Thanks for helping me out. On one license, you get 2 activations. So that's good because I'm only using one of them right now. And I seem to recall that we had 2 licenses at Bird Dog, but we had like 6 guys needing to use it. So, and they gave us those licenses for testing purposes. But I was always using one in the studio, and then the engineers would always like deactivate my license because they needed to use it. So we should have just gotten a 3rd one, but no big deal. We made it work, and that, I'm not bitter about that at all. You can install vMix on 2 computers as long as you're only using one of them at a time. Yeah, that is the plan. I'm not planning on using them in dueling situations. Don't need to. But this also means that I can run like a game on one and use NDI screen capture and just send that over here to this one, right? So that'd be pretty fun. Maybe we'll give that a go. See how that works. But yeah, thanks for everybody's input. I'm pretty excited about this, and I think that it'll make for a great machine. So I'm pretty happy with these things. Yeah, it all looks really good. We can look at the tree. So all of the RAM slots will be full. We forgot about storage. So this guy comes with M2 slots. So I could use the 500 gigs for cold storage, but 500 gigs doesn't go very far in the gaming world. So we could choose storage. And actually the way I want to do it is you go down here to the menu tree and you say M1 slot. Oh, I thought you could click on it and it would take you to that. Well, anyways, so let's choose storage. And this has 3 M2 slots. And so we put the compatibility filter on, and then we say, how big do we want? So I'm going to go probably, first off, we're going to say SSD. Second off, I'm going to say the M2s, which is the only one I'm compatible with. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to say size. So how big should we go? Well, as big as budgets will allow, right? But I kind of like to spread out the workload. So if I was going to get two M2 units, still leaving room for one more, by the way, then maybe I would do like two giggers, do dueling, and then have the 500 as like an extra piece of storage. I just bought myself a second vMix license because I need to use it on 2 at once from time to time. It has been a ton of fun. I agree. It's good times. So size, capacity. So let's say, well, we can eliminate all of these and just go down to 8 giggers or less. So that gives us nothing. Hang on. Oh, terabytes, right? Terabytes. Okay. So if we say 2 terabytes, top and bottom. Come on. Boy, it didn't like me doing that. There we go. 2 terabytes. How much are we looking for storage? I was always a Samsung or Western Digital fan. Anybody want to throw their name in the hat for manufacturers? Because looking at balancing price and size, obviously. So let's say 2 gigs to 4 gigs. Whoops. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Or 2 terabytes to 4 terabytes. I'm sorry. Anybody have any preference with manufacturer? Some of them seem like dime a dozen, but if I can get a higher quality for similar price or better price for the same quality, I'm all about it. And now we can sort by price, I guess. Low to high. For 2 terabytes, let's look at names that I recognize. So Western Digital is one that I recognize. Crucial is usually one that people buy. Western Digital Blue has a good reputation. But also Samsung has a good reputation. Let's pick some hang on. Show less. These are the top ones, right? So Seagate, Samsung, Kingston, Crucial, Western Digital. Let's just select those 5 and then see what we have here. So Kingston's normally a pretty good brand. I've had some of their hard drives in the past. Western Digital, Seagate. So we're looking at like $150 for a couple of terabytes. Maybe what I do is I get one of these and I get like a 1 terabyte as the BIOS launch, like Windows. So we could say 1, and I say manufacturer. I want this to be Samsung. And I want to limit it to 1 terabyte. All right, so 1 terabyte is $100, right? Whoa, or $90 or something like that. Oh, and I need to select my, there we go, my M2. So we're 80, 90 bucks, something like that. What is the difference between Evo Plus and Evo? PCIe 2 5.0. This looks like the more common one, just given the reviews. So let's go with that. Samsung Evo, but stick with the triple layer and not the QLC quad layer. Higher layer count means that it has to write 4 bits at once, even if you're only writing 1 or 2, wearing out the drive. So stick with the triple layer, TLC. Okay. So let's open these and see if I made the blunder. Very fast compatible. Where do I find that info, I wonder? Full risk right through, nothing here. Nothing that really helps signify the difference between it. So Evo Plus, tell me, it says it's times 4, PCIe 3.0. That's why the quad layer model is cheaper, because they wear out faster. Ah. So this one is Evo 2 terabytes, 5.0 times 2. This one wasn't the cheapest one. It was 160 bucks. But where do I see? Maybe I will just do like find. Does it say TLC? No. Does it say QLC? No. So this page doesn't say that. And then if I go details, find QLC, TLC, nothing. So it doesn't, throughput disk 50%, doesn't give me those keywords at all. Find. Okay. I will look into that. I'll see what the options are there, because, you know, the difference being 50 bucks. This one's Samsung Evo 2 terabytes. Is this a different part altogether? Oh, it is. And it's also the same price. Okay, so which is which? Like, what's the difference between these two? I want to compare them, because can I compare them? Guides, completed builds, guides, products. How do I compare these two units? If I say yeah, how would I? The 990 is a TLC. Okay, phew. So then what's the difference between, oh, you said 990. Okay, so this is the 990 Evo. What about the 970? Is it slower? It appears to be more expensive than the 990 by 10 bucks. One of the PCI 5s, one is PCI 5 and the other is PCI 3. Okay. Okay. So in this build, does it matter? A bit slower than I expected, but fast enough. Great speeds, decent price. So the more expensive one, and then this one reviews very fast, getting very cheap. Love it. Fast and relatively cheap. Samsung, fast, clean. So the 990, the 1 gig is, so let's add this to a parts list, and then go back and say 2 terabytes, add to parts list, and then go here and say, all right, these two are the same, so delete that one. And then the Evo Plus, we can get rid of that one. This one. So if I have a 1 terabyte boot up drive, 2 terabytes storage, and then an additional 500 gigs for whatever I want, which is an SSD, then that should be sufficient for what I need to do for the first part. Check your PCIe version on your motherboard. It's very likely version 5. However, it doesn't give me any compatibility warnings, right? These two, see? Yeah, these are version 5. So that's probably correct. If I go here to the motherboard, which is this screen. No, where is it? Did I close it? I must have closed it. Choose your parts. So click on motherboard, and then go here. Doesn't actually say it, of course. Why would it say it? Slots, color black, memory speeds, 5. Where is the M? Man, it gives you like almost all of the information, but not quite. It doesn't actually say. Oh, here, M2 slots. 2260 or 2280 M key. So that must be, I must have to Google that then. All right. Well, that's very helpful. Version 5 is just faster speed. Okay. So that's what I put on here, right? So if we go back here, version 5, which would just be slightly faster. Okay, so that's good. Let's go with that. I think that looks pretty good. Water cooler, motherboard, 4 sticks of memory, 2 solid state drives, 1 graphics card, Corsair power supply. And then over on Amazon, we're going to get some fans. Where's that list? Lists. Burnt. I don't like this. There we go. 2024 PC build. Oh, shoot. That's what I meant to do. It's here. Computer build. Let's change this. We're going to move this to another list. I did that so it would be at the top. PC build. All right. So then here, we've got $75 for the network connection. Not even. Well, yeah, so because we need 2 of these. All the parts are on here. So, oh, and this graphics card is cheaper on Amazon than it is, I think, on PiCKER. Oh, it's the same price. Okay, because it is Amazon. So now we've got to find this guy. So let's copy that. I can do this on my own, though. I don't need to necessarily drag you guys through this. If you have a V4 older motherboard, you couldn't take advantage of V5 speed, so it wouldn't be worth paying the extra money. Well, that makes sense. That would make total sense. And I have a very old, solid state M.2 drive on this Asus board that I've never been able to get to work. It's been really annoying. So I've just used hard drives for the most part. I don't need Evo Plus, although it says overall pick. Evo, just 990 Evo, right? What? Wait, that's not right. This one. This is an old list. Okay, sorry. Copy this. Samsung 990, 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte. Copy. Paste. Go. All right, the 990 Evo. Is it the blue one with the blue writing? Yeah. 990 Evo right here. One terabyte and 2 terabytes available. So we're going to add each of these to this list. There we go. And then, come on. We're going to load the 2 terabyte version as well. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. I think that this will work really well. I'm excited to kind of get a new machine. Again, this one is not bad. It's still going to have a function. It's just very old now. The graphics card is old. I can't do any of those things that I need to with the 970s, even dueling 970s. So it's just nice to get this kind of sorted out. And we need a few fans. So we're going to do these two. Is that the 80? No, that's 140. So we're going to add this to the build. Yoink. There. If it gives me the 80 option here, that would be great. 140. Performance. Slim fans. Ooh, that's fun. And add to list. There's the 80. All right. So get those on the list. We're pretty much done. So yeah, I'm going to make sure the money's there. We're going to place an order and parts will start showing up. And then hopefully within a month, we'll be unboxing everything and putting it together. So I love that stuff. Thank you so much for riding along. I know that this is weird. I'm going to fix this. And I also need to sit up a little higher in this frame. But we're going to fix this and put something in the background, give me a border and all that good stuff, and really make this look good. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming along. This is fun. I need to go rescue my kids because they're probably a little bit hungry for lunch at this point because we started 2.5 hours ago. So time to be done. Hopefully you are well, though. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I really appreciate you hanging around and joining me on a Friday. And next week on Thursday, we will start again. I do have some shows lined up for us to look at. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and you won't miss any of those upcoming shows. And then we're going to do PC Builder show here eventually, one of these days. So I've got a new 4250 that's sitting here waiting to be unboxed. We're going to do that soon. I've got a couple of other ideas for shows that are coming along, but I am back in Tennessee, and I'm not planning on going anywhere too far where I'll be missing shows in the future. So come along for the ride. Hopefully you'll look forward to it. In the meantime, take care of yourselves, folks. Always a blast to have you along for the ride. And hopefully you have found this fun. Hang out and chat. Always good to be with you. And we will see you guys in the next one. So take care of yourselves, and we'll talk soon. Bye, guys.